Welcome to another video for integrating DCM with an open source package from Flutter community. Together with me, I have one of the prolific open source authors in Flutter community, which you may have known him by his package as Jasper. And Kilian is with me. How's it going?
Hi. Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Can you just quickly introduce yourself? What are you doing? What's your footprint in Flutter community for those who don't know?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Kilian. I work as a Flutter developer. As you said, I have a few packages and projects that I do in the larger Dart and Flutter ecosystem. One is Jasper, which is probably the most known one, which is a web framework for Dart. And then there's Dart Mappable, which we're going to talk about today, which is kind of so it does JSON serialization and data classes. So it's kind of a replacement for both JSON serializable and Priest. And it has kind of a more deeper support for features like generics or inheritance and kind of everything you want to, or you might be able to do in Dart with like data classes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for accepting my invitation and joining us for just showing everyone how we can integrate DCM with an open source package. Just to give a quick intro to everyone who is watching us for the first time, doesn't know DCM. DCM is an advanced Flutter and Dart linked tools, which comes with many features, which I encourage you to look at our website, dcm.dev, and learn from it. But what happens is that we introduced a free license for open source packages, and we're trying to have a more impactful kind of footprint in Flutter community and help authors to have some kind of insights on their code quality for their packages and overall helping everyone in the community to have a better code quality. So that's why Kilian accepted my offer and DCM's offer to together for the first time. We add DCM to one of his packages, which in this case is going to be Dart Mappable. He's going to tell us more about the package as we go. But the whole point of this video is in a very short time, you see how we integrate DCM, how we can run, select some rules, and move on and have a better code quality in a package. So that could be a Flutter application or a Dart package in this case. Kilian, are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Perfect. We already skipped installing the DCM command line, DCM VS Code, editor, extension, and we also skipped activation and all of those parts. So we're going to straight away go into integrating DCM into Dart Mappable. First of all, Kilian, can you explain about the structure of your package? How do you manage your package?
Yeah, so it's split up into two packages. One is the core package .mappable, and then I have a separate package for the builders, which do all the code generation, like work together with build runner. And then I use Melos for kind of managing that as a monorepo.
Okay, very good. So what I want to ask you then here to give us a little bit more context is that are you using already some kind of rules?
I think I have a few very lightweight configured. I'm using the Lins package for most of it.
So what we're going to achieve together, Kilian, is to integrate at least initially DCM and see what kind of error we can find. Maybe we can start just with one of your package initially, and then we can have also monorepo as well. So that's also another option. But I think we can limit the scope a bit.
I agree. I would with in the core package, maybe that one is a bit more structured and cleaner, I would say.
So I think the first step probably would be start by adding DCM to your Dart, to your analysis option YAML file.
Yeah.
To do that, we have one key for the YAML file that is Dart underline code underline metrics. So if you just add it right now,
Top level
yes,
like this.
perfect. So then what we can do is that Dart, the DCM comes with multiple options. Like we have metrics, we have analysis, we have some command lines, we have also rules. I think we should start with rules initially, and then we can get to other things as well to just make it a bit easier. So generally, what you can do, you can have rules one by one, and we have 400 of them. We have a documentation, so you can go to documentation and select. But there's another things that you can do is you can run a command in your project right now, as we call it preview command. So if you just type a command as of now, DCM, and then in a space, we have an init command, and then in a space, that has a subcommand as preview. Just pass lib. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if we open this, what happens right now, you see this command, it will go through all of our rules and your project, and it will show you if you have any violation for any of these rules. The 0 in this case means for these rules that you see, there is no violations.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And even better, so some of the violations that you have member ordering issues, and that has 148 violations right now. Oh, well, that's something. If you don't know what they are, so there is a link to the documentation. Definitely you can check it out, but we can skip now maybe because I can explain to you, but you can see all the configuration for the rule. You can see how it works. But then you have like parameters ordering issues, and you have avoid dynamic. Are you using dynamic?
I don't know.
You have,
Yeah.
and here in this preview command, we will see that we have also a few more information, like member ordering is auto fixable, which means Dart DCM fix can fix these issues for you, a majority of them or all of them. In this case, the effort is going to be 1 hour-ish, kind of see 1.3 hours. That's the effort. However, if you use the DCM fix command, you can save some time, you see here. And this is also part of the styling issue. So if you see, this is a kind of like a styling. So you can just say, oh, I don't want to have member ordering. Just skip that completely. You don't need to necessarily select all of these rules, what I'm saying. You can take a look at all the violations as you see and see which of these rules really make sense. For example, this is an interesting one. If you go to number 24, avoid redundant else. This is a type of a styling issue. This is a type of error where you write if and else, but you have right now 2 else somewhere in your code that are similar. They are redundant. So maybe you have not noticed it, but you have it. And let's take a look at other ones. Maybe something that is not styling. No object declaration, warning. There's actually a type of warning that you have. Or avoid non-null assertions. So that's a type of error. You may get some kind of runtime issues. So it's potentially a bug. It might be deliberate. You may know what you are doing. But it's a lot of rules right now and violations. If you want to right now enable all of them, gonna be a little bit noise in your project. So I think we need to either now select, or there's a bunch of parameters you can pass to DCM init preview command to filter out some of these. For example, you can filter all the warning issues and maybe fix them first. Maybe you can filter all of the memory leak kind of issues and fix them first. You want to try this out? Like maybe see if we have a memory leak kind of issue. What I can suggest you, so if you run a command again, at this time, wait for me to tell you which parameters. Yes. So here, if you run the preview again, type it again. So now we can pass the parameters. I encourage you to open one of these rules again. Let's open the last rule. So in one of these rules, doesn't matter. Let's open it. Let's go to the website. Perfect. This is our documentation. If you click on the rules in this menu on the left, the navigation, so you
Perfect.
see,
Yeah.
yes, click on the rules. Yes, perfect. You land on this page, which, well, on the website, you can also filter out. For example, if you go to severity, we have 3 types of severity:
Mhm.
styling, warning, and errors. So maybe we want to figure out if there is any error first, some type of severity type issues. Or maybe we want to get the warning ones first. Maybe we should fix first warning ones. You can do this also now with the CLI. So if you
Mhm.
go to your CLI, and if you pass one of our tags, which is going to be I'll tell you quickly. Yes, if you pass dash severity equal to warning in this case, because by default, what you receive is all of those severities:
Okay.
styling, warning, errors. Now we're filtering out by just warning. If you press again, you'll see that you get probably way less, 274. However, there is still a lot of warnings, which does not have any violation. Can you repeat the command again? And
Yeah.
this time just pass another flag, says no dash empty dash violations. Perfect. 9. Even we can go further. We can pass another actually command saying only fixable, which we can automatically fix with DCM. There you go. So now we land on 8 rules that can be automatically fixed. They are a type of a smelling kind of issues in your code, which actually may get to some kind of issue in runtime or different type of issues. And can you just look at these names and like these rules and see if it resonates with you and maybe you have used them somewhere, which might not really be your, like deliberately you wanted to do that. Like, for example, you have avoid unnecessary override. So you have somewhere that you have
Mhm.
override, which seems like unnecessary.
Yeah.
Should we start with this one particularly?
Yeah.
Let's take a look at that. Can you just now enable that rule? How? Can you copy the key of the rule? Yes.
Mhm.
Then go to the analysis option this time.
I would have guessed that it's less.
Yes. So if you go now to Dart code metrics and just add another key as a sub key of this, like rules, yes, then you can add this rule right now as one of the items. It should be like an array. It doesn't need to say, you don't need to say true or false, because just saying that means you
Mhm.
enabled. Now what you can do, now actually the extension you installed will take an action. It will show you if you go to different files, this violation. But another thing you can do, you can use the CLI command, analyze command, to help you in this case. If you run DCM space analyze this time, perfect. So in this case, you will see that the analyze command is telling you a few more issues. So that's about unnecessary override for 4 of them. You
Okay.
have 1 here, and there is 3 more as well. Okay. You don't need to do these rules at one by one. We also have presets. Like we have, for example, recommended preset. I would encourage you, before doing anything else right now, remove these rules and instead add extends. But instead of rules, the keyword is extends. Yes. And then in the array, so it's going to be recommended.
Mhm.
If you run this time, the recommended presets from us, it bundles a bunch of rules already. So if you run the analyze again, you will get more type of issues, 172 warnings and some stylings issues. Okay. So you can run DCM fix to fix some of these automatically.
Mhm.
But if you see, it's actually a lot coming up quickly.
Yeah, it's like,
What you can do, you can now create a baseline, which is going to create a JSON file with all the rules and violations, and it will help you to actually not having any nag in kind of any alert in your editor that you have an issue, but you get those referenced in that JSON file. You can slowly remove them and fix them. So let's create a baseline in this case. The command is, again, is similar, DCM init space instead of preview baseline and the folder.
but is it a subcommand?
Yes, subcommand baseline. It creates a baseline based on your violations and the rule set that you have. Another thing you could do, you could get all the previews, all the violations, and you can copy all the rules into your rules in DCM, like in analysis option, and then you could create a baseline afterwards. So then in this case, you captured all the violations already. But as of now, we are capturing only baseline for the recommended presets. Does it make sense?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So now have you passed the baseline is created. You see the JSON file? Yes. That's
Yeah.
just saying now we created actually all the violations and the rules. So what happens is that right now you can select based on
Yeah.
the baseline. So you can select what rules you want to fix. Let's say, first thing is that you need to commit this JSON file to your project because this is a baseline. So you want to fix them as you go. So it needs to be part of the commit story, Git story. So then you can come to baseline. Let's say avoid incomplete copy width. This is interesting one, actually. You have actually copy width, which is not complete as apparently. Could be on a smelling, kind of code smelling. Could be. It might be not. So this is up to you to figure out. Should we take that as an example?
Yeah. So
if you just copy that rule, see if we have it somewhere else as well in this JSON file.
it's only one.
Only one. Can we just remove this from this JSON?
The whole thing?
The whole thing. There you go. And now if you run analysis, there you go. You got the error. Here is the file that you have an issue with. So if you open, see if this is making sense somehow.
It makes sense that, or like, it's cool that it is detected. I would need to look into if I actually want those parameters also in the copy width. But yeah, it makes sense that the warning is there.
Okay. Do you think is it something? Okay, is it something that you should take a look and fix it later? We can figure out if it's auto fixable or not. By the way, if you just open the documentation, for example, one way of figuring out is if you open the documentation, there's a link there, and we have a tag on top. It says whether it's auto fixable or not. And as you can see, there is no auto fixing kind of tag here, so it's not auto fixable. This is something that you need to figure out. Maybe you have to avoid this rule, even though it's part of the recommended. Maybe you want to disable it. So in this case, in Dart analysis, you can just have the rules back again. In addition to extents, you can have a rules. And then you have this as a part of these arrays of the rules and disable it like false. Yeah, the value for this should be then false. There you go. Now, if you run probably this time, if you run the analysis, you will see again, no issues because even though this is part of the recommended, you disabled it. Okay, sounds good. Now, I think one of the things I want to take a look is probably to take a look at some of the major kind of coding issues, the membering or the member ordering. This is something that is interesting to fix. So then what do you think, Kilian? Maybe we should enable the member ordering. It's a styling issue. And it's also an interesting one to fix. We had a lot of issues with that. And it had also like an auto fix. Should we Right now, run the preview command one more time, which we did it, and then take a look at the rules. And we can also exclude the ones that we have it, by the way, in the baseline. There are also like tags to do that, but let's not do it.
Mhm.
Let's just run this. Also severity, and you need to remove the severity. Let's get everything. There we go. So if we just go to the top of this list, there is a bunch of errors, of course. Should we fix maybe parameters ordering and member ordering?
Yeah, we can try it out how it looks.
Should we then
So,
enable this rule right now in the analysis up?
do I have to
Let's
add
do
it
it.
to
Yeah,
the rule?
just add it as a enabled rule because this is not part of the baseline as well as part of the recommended.
Yeah.
By the way, that the VS Code also helps you for automatically adding different parameters.
Mhm.
There you go. All the lists are also coming. You can actually select that there. If you look at the 20, line 20, yes, that
Yeah.
setting of this, you can also get help from that. It shows that these two rules actually comes with settings. You can have more configuration for the rules, but let's keep it as default.
Mhm.
Can we run the analysis again? This time, see if it recognize the errors. At least check one of them. Okay, so
Yeah.
maybe then that's good. So let's take a look at this one. Yeah, sounds good. So you see also the violations linking also here. Should we, because this was auto fixable,
Mhm.
can we just use DCM fix command to fix it for us?
Sure.
Let's do it.
So DCM fix
Yes.
lib,
And
I
then
guess.
leave. Yes. You
Cool.
can, by the way, run, like, you can have all of those parameters, but we just did it right now. And there is like in your Git history, I see there is now
It's a lot of files. Yeah.
a lot of files has changed. Yes. But you can take a look at,
Okay.
see if it makes
Wow.
sense.
Okay.
Do you like the change?
That's cool. There. Okay. See something else. It read it. That's cool. I guess I have to go over to not like do breaking changes for stuff like this.
Yes, definitely. Okay, that's very good. So then let's keep these two. Let's run the Dart analyze again, see if it fixes all of them or maybe some of them, because sometimes some of these changes might be breaking changes that it may not do it like automatically, even though it's auto fixable, like right now. Although this is a different issue. It's about prefer adding trailing comma. Oh, you have another rule in Dart lint rules, which says you want the trailing comma, but
Mhm.
then DCM now doesn't want the trailing comma where it doesn't need to, because it makes the line simpler, like in one line.
Yeah. Here.
But you have another rule from Dart, which it says you want the trailing comma everywhere. These are the things that we need to kind of disable it. Maybe you can disable like this prefer
Mhm.
trailing comma. Maybe you can disable that and relay to your previous lint rule. Yeah, because I see you, obviously you didn't want this. Okay, that's good. So then if you run the Dart analyze, you need to get a better results. Perfect. There's also prefer public exception classes. I don't know, like maybe we can open and take a look.
I have like a custom exception class.
Yes. So it's about this exception class is now private in this file,
Mm.
where it says with this rule, we're saying that it needs to be public, but you can again change it. You can
Can I
also
disable it?
ignore it, by the way. Yes, you can make it public. That's a good one. We also have autofix in the editor.
Mhm. That's
You
cool.
can just do it
Like
there,
this.
or you can ignore it. There you go.
But I want to ignore it because this is
Yes.
intentional. But yeah, it makes sense.
Perfect. Okay. so far we did at least commands and presets, and also we see how we can fix by DCM fix as well as ignoring and even fixing by the editor. So I want to just try. I'm very curious about a couple of commands that we have to run it on your package. Do you want to run the DCM unused code? See if you have any code that actually is not used anywhere. So DCM check dash unused code is the command.
Check dash
Dash,
like this.
yes. And the lib folder, of course.
Oh,
Okay, that's something we need to really fix.
why is that so much?
I think there is a reason for that. Because you have a Dart package, it's maybe your public APIs are unused. Maybe. To fix this issue, you can pass a flag or you can enable a keyword in the Dart code metrics in analysis option. If you just go there, you can just pass exclude dash public dash APIs and then pass true. What happens is that from now on, every time you run this unused code command, you need to remove the S, by the way. Yes, there you go.
Okay, it's
Four.
waiting for
What happens was, like, because it was a package, other people are using this package. The public APIs were part of the command initially. But from now on, every time you run the command, it excludes the public APIs. And in Dart, we follow the convention. So the public APIs are under the lib folder, and everything else, like you do it, is under SRC folder and so on. Like you follow the convention as well, right? Okay, sounds good. So in this case, now you have 4 that actually are unused. Can we maybe prove that they are unused, maybe? So if you get a reference of this,
This is interesting. It says this is not used.
yeah, this method. But if you get a reference, you probably know that, right?
You mean
Find all the references. And if it's only in one place, then most likely it's true.
yeah.
So potentially then what we can do is we can fix this unused code and send a PR to you.
Yeah.
That's something we can do.
Go ahead and fix this.
Yep.
All right.
At least we can wrap up our session with an actual PR and integration. I think we can discard all the changes.
So I do just a commit with this one, and then I kind of
Yes.
start fixing stuff.
Yes.
All right.
If you just run DCM fix, but this time DCM fix lib, and then this time a parameters dash dash type, and then you can pass unused code, like equal, yes, unused code.
This.
You got all the unused code automatically fixed. This was one of them.
Okay, for this I would have to go in and like this. I don't need any like also. Probably when it's now, since it's now removing the getter, now the private one is maybe also unused.
You can run again to see if that's the case. And you can also double check it with getting the reference.
This makes sense. Oh, this is not used. Interesting.
There you go.
That makes sense.
There you go.
So
maybe just send a PR and double check as well later.
no, I'm on a separate branch anyway.
Oh, yeah, very good.
I'm not committing to master.
Yes, very good. Very good. Okay, so we fixed at least, we integrated DCM, we fixed some unused code. There's a lot more, Kilian. You need to take a look at some rules. You need to take a look at some of the commands that we have. So it will help you to figure out more. And you also need to enable it for the other project. Also, you can combine them into a mono repo, which I recommend you to take a look at our documentation. In this case, Maybe now we just need to wrap it up with sending a PR. So at least we have a reference that we send a PR and we successfully integrated DCM. But then you later have time to double check your PRs and merge it.
Nice. I see it.
Perfect.
All right.
So then you now know that you have something enabled, something disabled, and the baseline.
Very
All right,
cool.
congratulations. So I hope I've seen you've been a little bit surprised
Not
adding
just
this
a little
CM.
bit.
And
Just
I
big
hope that you
explosion.
see the value right now. This was just the surface of the DCM. We never get to the metrics. I would encourage you to enable one or a couple of our metrics and double check your code, the structure of your code, even whether they are actually imported or not correctly, or how complex is your classes and things like that. But we can get into another session and talk about it if you would like to have that.
How do I get it now in my CI maybe? That would be interesting.
Yes. If you go to the documentation right now, you're using the GitHub Action I see. And if you go to the GitHub Action, we do have a GitHub Action script. This is an example. You can just add that line where it says installing DCM and then installing dependencies. There you go. And you need to have the license and also the key for CDCI, and then you can enable it for your project. If you have any problem with that, just send an email to the email that you received for your open source license.
Mm-hmm.
We will fix it for you. This is the way that you can, and we actually support this for many of CDCIs in different formats. You can get these violations and then post them back to your PRs. You can check and you can block your PR unless they are fixed. You can imagine like how helpful it can be for open source contribution.
This looks pretty straightforward.
Yes, it's just a few lines that you need to add it to your GitHub Actions YAML file. That's it. Any
Awesome.
other question?
How many bugs do I have now?
We've seen certainly some rules that might be intentionally that you want it that way. We have some violations, but that doesn't mean you need to enable all the 400-ish more than that rules, right? You need to figure out really which one resonate and it's for your project and for your team. And then
Yeah.
you need to enable them and fix them. However, there are some rules that is a coding smell. It smells like a bad code or maybe potentially an error later. And there are some rules that are actually very helpful for figuring out memory leaks, disposing stuff, and like these kind of things. We have a tag on the rules on the documentation. You can select these rules, these type of rules, and then enable them and then figure out whether you want to enable it or this kind of like pattern that you have in your package was deliberately in that case. Maybe you don't want to enable it. As we actually right now disabled avoid incomplete copy with or prefer trailing comma. We deliberately disable it because you want it this way. So that's what you need to figure out in your code. Okay,
Like
very
it's a
good.
question
I
of like
think
what is intended in terms of also like API design for the package. Like, do I actually want to expose stuff or not? And
exactly. All right. Thank you very much for this session. I really enjoyed how we collaborated now to add DCM to your open source package. I hope you
yeah,
really leverage the
thanks
power
for
of the
showing.
tool and just use it. And please let us know if you want any other helps. We are happy to help you. Stay in touch with us. We have a Discord channel as well. You can join DCM Discord channel. Also follow us on social media if you want. And we're going to follow you to see which rules you're going to enable in short time.
Absolutely.
For more information and best practices, head over to dcm.dev.